Chapter 4, A Reluctant Champion. So, are we going to be fighting in an arena or something? By Sam Landstrom. I have to say, the game has been made a lot more branching and is not as linear, and also on top of that, the choices actually do make sense now. Back in the day when the wizard's choice was around, I don't know, for me personally, I felt like the choices didn't make much sense, but then again, it's magic, it's not like it's real life, so normal sense would not exactly work. Kriya leans forward, squinting. That does not belong to a rat. That resembles the barefoot of a human, only with great claws rather than nails. Yeah, I guessed it's probably a werewolf, but we'll have to see. I don't know if there are werewolves in this. I have seen their likeness in a book of fiends, orcs. Okay, so it's not a werewolf, it's orcs. Orcs, you mutter to Kriya, slightly louder than a whisper. Orcs? Echoes Gukog. Shush! Both of you, hisses Kriya. I'll attend to Gukog's wounds now. Rooster, you watch the hole. You get to your feet, urge Gukog to take your place at Kriya's side. You take the lantern and shine the light through the hole. No rats. They will have to either leap or climb up through the hole. That will give you an advantage, a decided advantage. The rats will be vulnerable just long enough for you to slash them. Orcs are much keener problem, you think. You have never seen an orc, much less fought one, but you have heard the tales of their ferocity and strength. It is said that although most are no more than thugs, some are cunning in their own fashion. It's hard to believe how many dangerous monsters are beneath the city. It's kind of like the Undercity from one of those big Skyrim mods that added a lot of story. What was it called? Yeah, there was a mod of Skyrim which had like a whole storyline in itself. I don't remember, but there was an Undercity in that one as well, which was pretty cool. Right, and let's see where we were. Gugog grunts gently as Kriya hurriedly bandages his shoulder. She bites her lip as she concentrates. For a moment, you think Gugog is wincing at the pain, but actually you realize that he has a big dumb smile on his face as he stares doughy-eyed at Kriya. Good, that he is in high spirits, you think. Let his last moments be happy before the orcs kill us all. Not that your fate, if you go back into the sewer, would be any less grim. You shudder at the thought of dying under a writhing pile of rats. You would rather dwell on something else. Your mind turns to Kriya. Wizards often turn to adventuring to fund the research and studies, but they often work with other wizards. Is she not part of a guild? Maybe you should ask Kriya about her background. Now, I don't know. She is a necromancer, so I don't know if she is necessarily part of a guild. I don't think necromancy was allowed in this kingdom. Talk to her. Are you part of the local wizards guild, you ask? It seems strange that you would be on your own trying to recruit. This is not the time to make light conversation, whispers Kriya, cutting you off. We need to listen for the enemy and stay vigilant. Unless, of course, your question about the guild has some bearing to our immediate survival. No immediate bearing, you say. She's right, you think. You need to be quiet so you can listen for rats outside of the hole, perhaps for orcs in here. Besides, Kriya is busy binding Gukog's wounds. Best not to distract her, okay? This time it was a good idea not to ask, I guess, but I decided to ask because last time there was a choice where we were supposed to talk instead of stay quiet because I stayed quiet. So always I pick the wrong choice even though they are similar. By the time Kriya has finished, you have heard... Oh, my morale is 0? Oh, right, I don't have a demon, so I won't die from 0 morale. I don't know what favor is. Kriya's favor, Gokog's favor, or someone else's favor? By the time Kriya is finished, you have heard many more splashes and squeaks. It is as though they are forming an army, you whisper. They are but animals. They know nothing of strategy, whispers Kriya. However, it is said that once they swarm, they become bold. You say swarm, and I say army. I don't want to get overwhelmed by rats, you say. Besides, we don't know the way to the surface. It is a gamble, but Kriya turns and points at the door. What manner of danger is beyond that? Beyond that door is a barrier to the rats that at the very least... There is a barrier to the rats at the very least, you say. Out here may be the frying pan. Beyond the door might be fire. Nonetheless, I will not die as feed for the vermin. You shudder at the memory of the priest's corpse ravaged by rats. Kriya takes a deep breath and nods. Lamp oil, you ask, holding out your hand. Kriya crinkles her brow for a moment. Why? Because she is thinking that lamp oil is getting low. Is lamp oil expensive? Kriya crinkles her brow for a moment, then unslings the knapsack, rummages around in it, and gives you a small flask. You hurry over to the door, press your ear against it. You hear nothing. You open the flask, dribble oil into the hinges. Oh, because we weren't exactly using lamp oil for the purpose of lamp oil, so she's like, oh, we're wasting lamp oil, I guess. Or maybe she's thinking like, what the fuck am I going to do with lamp oil considering my lamp is full? Okay, press your ear against it, you hear nothing. You open the flask and dribble oil into the hinges. A mighty shriek echoes from behind, a very big rat, you think. Looking back, you see Gukok with his sword raised over the hole. Kriya is at your side, holding her breath, her torch at the ready. You turn your attention to the door and grasp the latch, locked. You have a few lockpicks in one pocket of your. You have a few lockpicks in one pocket of your cloak. This appears to be an old-fashioned lock. Should not pose any problem. You said. That said, the door is rotten. You could probably pry it open with your short sword faster than you can pick it. I think we should pick the lock because yeah, that would be loud as fuck. Let's pick the lock. Forcing the door open would make a terrible amount of noise, and with the possibility of orcs around, well, the element of surprise may be the only advantage you have. Keep the light steady and close, you whisper as you hand your lantern to Kriya. You pull out your picks and insert them into the lock. You're a thief, aren't you? Whispers Kriya over your shoulder. Closer with the light, you say, ignoring her question. What does that mean? You're a thief, aren't you? What does that mean? She knows I'm a thief. Why is she asking that? I don't know, that's weird. You haven't been working long before you hear Kriya whisper, hurry, I hear the woman. Suppressing the urge to yell at her for threatening to break your concentration, you take a deep breath and make what you hope is your last gentle tug. To your relief, you feel the tumblers fall into place. You hear the click. I'm really fascinated by lockpicking and lock designing because of what is that channel called? I forgot. Fucking how did I forget that? Lockpicking Lawyer. Yeah, I watched that guy and someone recommended it to me. And I was like, it's fascinating how he opens lock. It's not about the speed, it's about the mechanism of the entire lock. And essentially, the people who design the lock are also very interesting. Let's just say that because it's ingenious how a simple key and certain cylinders and some certain springs pushing here and there can make a complete locking mechanism. It's insane. Amazing. Thank the gods, whispers Kriya, reaching for the latch. You slap her hand, she draws it back with a grasp. The lantern, you say, putting out your hand, but not taking your eyes off the door. The warm metal handle of the door is pressed into your hand. What? The warm metal handle of the lantern is pressed into your hand. Slowly, ever so slowly, you open the door a crack. You shine the lantern through the crack. Nothing but a wall is beyond. You're about to open the door completely when you notice a thin thread. Yeah, it was a good idea not to break the door open. Trap, you whisper, or alarm. You hand the lantern to Kriya again, light, you say. Perhaps you should not go this way after all, she whispers. Maybe it really is the Thieves' Guild as you feared, or a cult that worships some horrid rat god. Let us not lose our nerve now. Give me the light, you whisper fiercely. Kriya brings the lantern fiercely. Let's do that fiercely. Let's not lose our nerve now. Give me your light. Give me light. Your light. That sounds weird. Kriya brings the lantern in closely. How would he say fiercely? Give me light. Maybe like that? I don't know. Kriya brings the lantern in close. You then pull out your dagger and carefully put your forefinger into the crack of the door. Gently clasp the string between your finger. You slip the dagger between your finger. In one swift move, cut the line. You put away your dagger and unsheath your short sword. The door opens with barely a sound. The lantern oil did its job well. Inside is another room with a long stone basin along the far wall. The thread that you cut leads to a ceiling where there are 4 makeshift spears made of knives bound to staves of wood. These makeshift spears, in turn, are bound together with twine and attached to rope. Rocks are bound to them, presumably to provide weight for the spears to swing down and impale whoever opened the door. Some partially broken pottery to set precariously atop the swinging contraption. Both a trap and an alarm, you think. Crude, but probably effective. There is another closed door on the right-hand wall. You summon Gukok and the 3 of you enter the room and shut the door. So that was a makeshift spear. It's probably not the Thieves Guild. And I highly doubt it's the orcs, because the orcs wouldn't be able to maneuver their way around considering the low intelligence. They would need some humans to, help them out hiding in the city. What do you suppose this is? Whispers Kriya, pointing at a long, low basin along one wall. If I were to guess, you say, scratching your chin, a latrine. Oh yeah. Okay, it's Japanese toilet, got it. No, Japanese, I should say, just Asian squat toilet. They have these in India as well. She closes her eyes and shakes her head as she takes a step back. Ironic, you say. This room smells better than any we have been in since entering the sewer. Kriya peers down at the floor. More orc tracks, she says. They must have set that trap, you say. I was hoping it was a paranoid barkeep, and we would soon climb the stairs to find wine, women, and song. I would prefer a bathhouse, says Kriya, mentioning at a filthy cloak. She takes a slow step towards the latrine, then leans forward with the latrine. What? She goes towards the latrine, right? And then she leans forward with the latrine? What? Gukok walks up to the latrine, unbuckles his belt. What are you doing? Asks Kriya. I drained the dragon. He says, and then pulls his trouser down to his ankles, exposing his bare, hairy buttocks. There is a jagged scar down one butt cheek. Unnecessary, whimpers Kriya as she turns her head away. Some men prefer room to maneuver, you say with a smile. Kriya doesn't laugh. Well, you say as you walk up to the latrine, opening your cloak, I may as well drain my own dragon. Oh damn, that's funny, Yeah, guys do come sometimes just piss together. Fucking hell. Bah, couldn't the two of you relieve yourself back in the sewer? Kriya hisses. The orcs may smell it. You shrug. If I am to die, I will do so comfortably and without wetting myself. You close your eyes for a moment to relax. Soon you and Gukok are urinating side by side. What that? Asks Gukok, pointing towards your groin. For a moment, you think he's referring to your manhood, which makes you tense and painfully cut off your flow. Then you realize he's actually pointing at some... Oh, because he thought that he was saying like, oh, what the fuck is that small dick of yours or something like that. Then you realize he's actually pointing at some symbols etched into the back of the basin. Kriya, come take a look at this, you whisper. No, Kriya hisses, this is not that sort of adventure I'll have. I'm not asking you to look at that, you say as you give yourself a quick shake and pull up your trousers. I know my letters well, but I cannot read this. You step out of the way. Gukok does not stop urinating as Kriya approaches. Her lips are tight. She puts up one hand next to her face, presumably to block her periphery view of Gukok. She stares at the symbol for a few heartbeats, then she squints at them. By the gods, I think these runes, this language is not used anymore. It makes sense now, the strange stonework. Honalpal? What the fuck? Yonala what? You say Yonalapal, I don't know. I don't know if YH is pronounced or not. I'm just gonna call it Pal from now on. A city before Ring City. Oh. City before Ring City. That must be a long time ago, considering the wizard we were doing that just a while ago. It is said that it was buried during the giant wars, perhaps 7 centuries ago. Giant wars. We have not seen giants in either of the games. I guess the demons kind of giants. Is this a Dark Souls reference? Dark Souls 2 reference. Perhaps 7 centuries ago, asks Kriya. Can you read the runes, you say? Not well, she says. She clears her throat, something to the effect of she clears the throat again. The writer is claiming to be like a stallion in relation to his... She points down vaguely at her groin. You chuckle. I wager your translation is close to the mark. The same sort of things are written upon latrine walls today. The corner of Kriya's lip goes up for half smile. 7 centuries has not changed men and their... That's how it is. Kriya is interrupted as the other door bursts open. In walks 2 green-screened humanoid creature. They're small by human standard goblins, but the size of very early teens. They are naked, save for loincloths and bone jewelry wrapped around the wrist, necks. They blink and squint as though blinded by your torch and torches. One of them has his, maybe her, mouth open as though in surprise, revealing a jagged line of sharp teeth. The other one shouts something in Scourse language. Charge and attack. You raise your short sword. You charge with your short swords raised. Goblins, comes Kriya's voice from behind you. Goblins is what you expected, but having never seen one, you were not sure. Now you realize why they're blinded. Goblins live underground and have no need for light. Indeed, they shun light. Nevertheless, they will not be blinded long. One goblin has turned back the way it came, the other has drawn a dagger from his loincloth. You slash down on the back of the head of the retreating goblin with a crack of skull. The other one swings his dagger wildly while screaming something in his language. The blade of the dagger misses you by an arm's length. The little monster, large onion eyes, focus on you just as you slash your blade into the side of his neck, half severing his head from his body. Greenish blood spills over your blade onto the floor as the creature falls. Gukog Kriya at your side. Fast thinking, whispers Kriya. Well, yes, because in the first game, the fucking goblins were pain in the ass. And they track you, fuck's sake.